Alrighty, everybody got their airsick bag? Let the self-loathing begin. Here's what's coming up on the Nice Guys Today.
Oh, man. Hey, well, David, our time is up. I really appreciate you being here today.
Damn, it's over and I haven't plugged anything.
We haven't. Let's get should we get to it?
This is fantastic. This is like my sex life. I don't know when it started and when it's finished. I'm all over the shop.
These go to 11. So, Joy, have you ever been to a Turkish prison? Do you like gladiator movies? The Nice Guys want to know. Need an education on how to grow your business? The Nice Guys are here to help. Learn about great customer service, networking, and how just being nice can help you prosper. Now, here are your hosts, Doug Sandler and Strickland Bonner.
All right, welcome back. We have got an interview today with Mr. David Ralph. And Doug, I got to tell you, it's why I'm doing the accent. It's Strickland Bonner on his side of the microphone. On the other side of the mic, it's Mr. Doug Sandler. And, at the very beginning of the interview, you know how you all start? David says, I sound like fucking Winnie the Pooh. All right. So, basically, you start the whole thing with insulting me. All right. So what I'm doing is I'm going to do the whole intro as David. That's sort of fuck you, right? David, come on. Winnie the fucking Pooh. What the fuck?
Wait, maybe I should try to. Should I try to get into my Cockney accent?
No, you definitely should not do your Cockney accent. All right,
because
I'm totally shouldn't do that.
At it.
I think I am making enough fun of us already, and everyone over in the UK is going, "What the fuck is he trying to do like Cockney? Because that's fucking horrible." He sounds like fucking Dick Van Dyke trying to do it. In Mary Poppins. Like you accuse him of doing. Yeah. You can't do that. It's terrible. Mm-hmm. It's terrible.
Yeah. Well, I think, is he the guy, is David the guy that says it's as insulting to me as calling you sound like Donald Trump?
We're actually using that in the intro. And by the way, David, I am totally, completely not offended. I think it's hilarious. This episode is actually more like a Tuesday and Thursday show because it's so ridiculously off the rails.
We don't even start.
David is absolutely hilarious. And by the way, David, excuse me, I got to get it in my head now. I got to get the right voice in my head now. So, may I have some honey, please? Can I have a snuggle? Can I have a snuggle, please? I used to do a poo really well, and I can't get it in my head now, like the Winnie the Pooh.
Who was the guy that played the voice of Winnie the Pooh? Hold on.
Well, what's really funny? The guy that does Winnie the Pooh, at least in modern times, what is his name? I can't remember. He also does Tigger. He does the voice of Pooh and Tigger, which is kind of crazy because they're so different.
Well, the guy from I'm trying to remember his name. The guy that did all of the voices from the Harry Potter. He did. I didn't realize when he was reading the book, he was doing every fucking voice on the entire soundtrack. I'm thinking this guy can't possibly.
The soundtrack of what are you talking about now? The soundtrack of what?
Harry Potter. The reading of the book, Harry Potter, whatever the original book was.
So hang on. Oh, the audio book of Harry Potter. You got there from Winnie the Pooh. All right.
Yes.
I mean, let's connect the dots here. Okay. So the audio reading of the Harry Potter books.
Isn't that David Ralph's podcast name, Connect the Dots?
Yeah, except the problem is you left a few dots out in between. That's the problem.
My elevator dots don't quite go to the top floor. You know that already.
Well, this one says Harry Potter audiobooks narrated by Jim Dale. I believe the modern Winnie the Pooh voices was actually Jim Cummings.
Jim Cummings, right, exactly.
Right, but he did Pooh and Tigger, which I thought was really funny because they're so very different voices.
Well, they're very different, but it's amazing. Like a guy like who was the guy that did Bugs Bunny? Was that Mel Blanc?
Yes.
Mel
That
Blanc.
did all
Mel
the Warner
Blanc.
Brothers
He
voices,
did
yeah.
all of the Warner Brothers characters. Right, exactly. It's just so amazing. You got a guy like Foghorn Leghorn. I say that boy's about as sharp as a bowling ball. You know that guy. That boy's
Mel
got
Blanc
more
was
nerve
kind of
than a. Yeah, he does. He does all of that, and he does Bugs Bunny. He does Yosemite Sam. He does the whole litany of characters. And I kept thinking as I'm listening. Sorry, I don't mean to make I'm connecting the dots here because Winnie the Pooh. When you said the voice of Winnie the Pooh was also the voice of Tigger, I immediately thought, isn't the guy named Jim? And then my brain goes, wasn't Jim also the name of the guy that did the voices for all of the Harry Potter audiobooks? Then I went to Jim. Was it Jim Dale? What's his name? Jim Dale?
Jim Dale is the guy that did the Harry Potter books.
So he does all of the characters, and I kept thinking, holy shit, this guy's got amazing amount of width and depth to his characters.
Christopher Robin, can I have a snuggle, please? Christopher Robin, can I have a snuggle? Anyway, I can't do it. I used to do Winnie the Pooh much better, but apparently, according to David Ralph, I sound like Winnie the Pooh all the time anyway, so I don't really have to worry about it and try hard. He has a podcast called Join Up Dots, and he's been doing it probably longer than we have. And oh my God, this episode is absolutely hilarious. I mean, it is just really, really entertaining. It takes you like 10 minutes to even get to the intro.
I know,
because you guys are just rambling.
And I feel really bad because as I start to introduce him, I'm thinking, this guy, he's just such a character. I can't just do a normal intro from him for him. And then he talks. He has a what's the a Cockney? A Cockney? Is that what it's called? Cockney?
Yeah, he's like a Cockney. Yeah, kind of Cockney accent.
Yeah, a really thick accent, and it just.
It's funny because I listen to him. I don't think it's all that thick. I don't think it's that terrible. But what's really funny is I don't know if you've actually watched Mary Poppins recently. I mean, Dick Van Dyke. I love Dick Van Dyke. I mean, he was freaking. Well, still is. He's still alive, right? He's just freaking brilliant.
Yeah.
But his Cockney accent in Mary Poppins is horrible. I mean, it is horrible. He is really entertaining in the movie, but the accent is like the worst thing ever.
Well, so are you saying that David Ralph has a fake Cockney accent, or is it
no,
legit?
I'm trying to reinforce the fact that when David was offended that you said he sounded like Bert from Mary Poppins, not only are you ridiculously dating yourself, but it is absolutely an insult, most definitely.
Oops. So you're telling me I should probably stop insulting my guests?
No, not necessarily. I mean, it seemed to work okay, but that's a harsh one. That's a harsh one.
Well, you'll notice.
It's kind of like him saying you look like Donald Trump, I think.
Yeah. Well, if you notice, go back to Monday's episode when Bernie was on from Washington Speakers Bureau, the founder of Washington Speakers Bureau. I did not insult him at all. As a matter of fact, I treated him with kid gloves. I was afraid that anything that I would do, that he would completely blackball me on the or blacklist me from the speakers roster. So I'm thinking, oh shit! What am I supposed to do here?
He seemed like a more straight-laced kind of guy.
Yeah, totally straight-laced. And then we have Shantae on Wednesday. I know we're just going through now what we covered this entire week, but anyway, all of the interviews this week completely different. We go from the conservative on Monday, Bernie Swain, to Shantae, who was a makeup artist and did a phenomenal job on the show. I think this may have been her first, if I remember correctly. This was the first time she'd ever been on
first. You took her podcast chair, yes.
If you're going to, you may as well take it from a woman.
Don't tell her husband.
Oh, geez. No. Don't want to go there. Mm-mm.
No, you don't want to go there. Anyway, Funkin' fans, thank you so much for recommending us on Overcast, because you have made us #1 in the business category on Overcast, and we totally appreciate it. Thank you very much. What else do we need to get to, Doug? Because we're running long on the old intro here.
You started to slip from your Cockney accent to more of the Beatles Euro invasion accent.
See, I had to listen to David a little bit more to get his accent right.
Yeah.
It's like all of us American accents. We all sound like that Texas Southern drawl, right? Like they all sound the same. And of course, I don't study the Cockney accent enough to be able to stick specifically with that. that, but I'll have to work on that.
No, I'm cool. Let's just get to the interview. I think that David and I do a good enough job going off the rails that you and I in the intro don't have to go any more off the rails than we already have. So make sure that you are recommending us on Overcast, like Strickland said. Just hit the little gold recommend button. Interestingly enough, you can go back, and this is how easy this plays out. Last week, actually the entire month, last month in the month of June, we promoted many times to recommend us on Overcast. And we got as high as number 3 on the overall list of recommended podcasts. We were behind, you know that guy? I can't remember his name. Oh yeah, Tim Ferriss. That's right. And Marcus.
Yeah, Marco, like the guy that owns and runs Overcast.
owns and runs Overcast, right?
Yeah, I don't think there's any nepotism there with that. No, but that's okay. It's all good. We love you, Marco. Just kidding.
No. Let's Strick. You know what? I think we should probably not say anything bad about. He could just completely just lose our RSS feed, and then we would be screwed. So I'm happy to be behind him. If we didn't have Overcast, we'd be down to 12 downloads an episode. I mean, it would be horrible. It wouldn't be good. So you guys have done such a great job with that. You can go back and recommend, even while you're listening to this episode right now. Let's say it's you're enjoying the relaxing time, the vacation time. I thought we were going to get to this quickly.
Go back to previous episodes, press the recommend button. Done. Okay.
All right.
This is like bingo. You don't have to explain it. They know.
Okay. All right.
Just go back to past episodes. Every past episode and recommend. Thank you very much.
I wanted to emphasize that they really should. It's not that they can. They really should do it because this is where it really matters to us.
So do you think that going into detail of explaining how is not going to make them press the skip button, and you think it's going to make them do it? I think we need to get to it quickly. Just do it.
Well, so you either do it quickly or you make it last more than 30 seconds. And that way they can. So either way works. It's the same difference.
Then they just.
All right, let's get to the interview. Fuck it, Strickland. We'll just get to the interview. We'll do it your way this time. But Tuesday we did it my way, so today we're doing it your way.
Okay, fair enough.
All right, so we are the Nice Guys on Business. We are proud to be affiliated with the C-Suite Radio Network and the Greatness Podcast Network. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let's get to our interview with David Ralph. Yeah, I agree. Strickland is a pain in the ass. Now that I'm recording, I can actually say that. Yeah, he's totally a pain.
And I tell you what, I was listening to your show today, and I spent all the time. You were fine, but Strickland, I was thinking, who's he sound like? Who does he sound like? And I spent about 4 hours thinking, he's somebody. Then boom, it hit in. Winnie the Pooh. Do you not sounds like Winnie the Pooh, don't you think?
Yes, Winnie the Pooh is Strickland 100%. Oh, bother. If we're going to get Strickland to just say, oh, bother. But you're right. He does sound like, you know what he sounds like? He sounds like Winnie the Pooh after he's had maybe a few too many margaritas or bong hits.
Yeah. So if you can get him also to say, can I have a snuggle? That's a Winnie the Pooh phrase, which would be perfect.
Oh man, I love it. That is so cool. Yes, we're going to get totally into Strickland being a Winnie the Pooh character. Somebody said one time that I move a little too quickly. I feel like I'm Tigger. So maybe Tigger and Winnie the Pooh actually would be a good combination for Strick and I.
Well, a lot of podcasters you listen to, they're more Eeyore. Have you noticed that? Because you are very Tigger, and I suppose there's an element of Tigger with me. But there's certain podcasters that I've sort of dipped into, and they are they're like Eeyore in a coma. Well, there's no personality at all.
I don't get that. I really don't. I mean, we try to inject a little bit of as much personality as we can into a total shit show as we possibly can, but I never understand how people just can't get a grasp of, let's just open up, have a conversation and be fun. Why do we have to be all business-like?
I agree with you totally, and I like the ones that have no questions as well. Have you ever had those ones when you have a really good conversation and just before the end they say, and we want to do this fun thing, what's your favourite colour? What's your... And it's like these weird 5 questions they just throw at you.
I guess let me just get rid of these 5 questions. It'll be good.
This was really weird. You've got me on a rant now, Doug. I was on one show, I can't remember what it was now, and the lady wanted me to speak French. And so she said, you say something and I will teach you how to say that in French. Oh. And so I came out with, the Rocky speech.
Yeah.
how hard you hit. It's how hard you can be hit and come forward. And this French went on for about 45 minutes. I totally lost the track of it all. And we was on like Rocky 9 by the time we finished it.
Hey, so tell me, how do you, if you had to do an American accent, do you like any, are there any movies that you like that are US made movies, like, I don't know, Die Harder, or any of the old school John Wayne movies, or anything where you could do a Western accent, any of that at all?
I don't really go for the American accent, to be honest. I embrace my own English.
I was listening to your show, and immediately I just click into Mary Poppins. I don't know why, but that's
no one can click into Mary Poppins, can they? That's some kind of weird transition you've made there, sir.
No, you totally sound like Bert to me. You're all about, not Bert from Sesame Street, Bert from Mary Poppins. It's the Mary Poppins, I presume. You definitely have that. What neighborhood in England are you from?
That's the most offensive thing anyone's ever said to me.
Oh, just hold on a second. Just calm down a second. I'm not saying like fuck you or anything like that.
We're falling out. Old Chim Chimney. I don't sound like him, do I?
Yeah, you totally sound like Bert. Well, I forget what the name of the accent is, so I can't. I don't want to throw a word out that what is it?
It's crap Cockney, basically.
Yeah, Cockney. That's it. How is that learned? Is that just totally the neighborhood that you're from, or is that because that's not a typical English accent. That's a really hardcore English accent.
Yeah, I suppose where I live, I'm about 40 miles outside London, so we've got a kind of diluted London accent. If you listen to other people where I live, I'm quite posh, to be honest. But the Cockney accent is a kind of regionalised London, which probably spread out just after the war into the suburbs, the counties, the states, as you would have it. And so it's become a kind of diluted. So we got the flood of it, all the people that were escaping London during the war and set up home near us, and so we have got like a mild accent, but certainly we don't walk around singing Chim Chimney and dancing with penguins. All
right, so let me just ask this though, what's the fucking big deal about a queen? Why do you have to have a queen? Is it really essential that you have a queen? If I just insulted the throne?
Well, we know that the real Queen of England is Elton John.
I was going to say that's probably pretty good. Well, the real idiot of America is now Donald Trump, so we're all in good shape now.
He's good, isn't he? I keep away from social media, but he's so amusing. From this side of the pond, it's amusing because you voted him in, you put him in power, and I've never met one American who actually says, yes, I did. I put the cross on it. I don't know how it happened.
Well, it's the same amount of people that we have an $80 billion industry in porn that nobody watches. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, I spent an afternoon on that today, I think.
An afternoon? I get about 60 seconds in and I'm done.
Well, you've been married for quite a few years, I imagine. It gets all of us in the long run.
Yeah. So, but answer the question about the Queen thing. I mean, where is I spent my honeymoon in London just a couple of years ago and enjoyed it very much and love all the pomp and circumstance and love going to the castle and seeing it all. But where is this fascination with a queen? Does she have any power?
Yeah, she does. She opens things. She sort of like names ships. She does have a lot of power. The government for the
what the hell is your government called?
Yeah, the Prime Minister, as we have it over here. And we had a big election yesterday where the one power wasn't sort of taken by anyone. So there's like a hung government and they're all running around trying to find people to play with so that they can take control. So it's a bit sort of shambolic at the moment. But once she gets to the point of being in power, she has to go to see the Queen. And I think she has to go to see the Queen, or he, the Prime Minister, every Friday to sort of say what's happening. So the Queen is kind of a figurehead. She's got powers. You wouldn't want to mess with the Queen, I imagine.
No.
But she's not. She doesn't set laws as such. She's just there.
Have you ever had a chance to go to the castle or the palace or anywhere?
I was once in Buckingham Palace. This is a claim to fame, and I was about 10 years old or 11 years old, and I was outside with my nan, and we'd gone on a day trip, so it was my nan, and I found a purse, and it was full of money. So I was a 9-year-old thinking, brilliant, this is like winning the lottery.
Right.
And my nan said, you got to give it back. And I said, well, I don't know who. And she said, you got to give it back. So we gave it to this policeman, and the policeman said, oh, you've got to come into the station and fill out some forms. And the station was actually in Buckingham Palace. And this was before you could go into Buckingham Palace. Now they sort of open it up and you can sort of have a tour around it. Yeah. So we got taken through the gates and we went across the gravel. And what they do in Buckingham Palace, I don't know if you've ever stood outside.
Yeah.
They had royalty coming in and out, but you don't know when they're coming in and out. So what they do, they get a kind of horse and cart to come along, and all the crowds go, oh, it's somebody coming out. And they all stand there. And then the horse and cart sort of goes away, and they go, oh, and they disperse. And then the doors open, and one of the royals sort of flies in. And I met Princess Diana.
No shit.
And she sort of came in, she went, oh, hello, how are you? And as she walked past us, and we was in Buckingham Palace. So I visited it. And funnily enough, Doug, I know this is getting off a tangent, but on my doorstep.
Wait, we haven't even started yet. What do you mean get off a tangent? We haven't got on a tangent yet.
we covered Winnie the Pooh, Elton John, bad elections. We've covered the lot. But I've actually got a castle on my doorstep, literally on my doorstep. I can walk to it within about 3 minutes. And Henry VIII, one of our old kings, he used to have this as a sort of local residence, and it's a bit sort of derelict now, but after this recording I'll send you a link of the picture of it, and you can see the sort of remains of our local castle.
I love this idea, and as you were giving me the story about Princess Di, I was thinking at 9 years old you probably could have broken out into maybe like your best Oliver imitation or anything like that. please sir, please may I have some more?
Yeah, Mary Poppins I was learning at that stage. Didn't do me any good at all.
Oh, man. Hey, well, David, our time is up. I really appreciate you being here today.
Damn, it's over, and I haven't plugged anything.
We haven't. Let's get should we get to it?
Let's do it. Let's be professionals. Let's pretend we know what we're doing, Doug.
All right. Well, I've already done the whole thing, so maybe I'll just read a little bit of the intro now, and then we'll figure out where to go from there. Well, he is rocking the podcast airwaves with definitely a unique twist, as you can tell over the last 10 minutes what we've been talking about. He's definitely likable, totally unscripted, and he's a great storyteller. Whether you want to learn, be entertained, or just laugh your fucking ass off just because of his style, meet David Ralph. It's true, he does talk funny, but he is the host of Join Up Dots. And he comes to the Nice Guys podcast today to share a bit of his journey. Officially now, David, welcome to the Nice Guys podcast.
This is fantastic. This is like my sex life. I don't know when it started and when it's finished. I'm all over the shop.
But you know that if you walk out of here and there's glitter on your face at any point, you know you've been doing well.
Fantastic. That's what I'm looking for. A bit of glitter all over my body. Brilliant. This thing.
At any of the what do you call them in the UK? Do you call them strip clubs? Do you call them gentlemen's clubs? What do you call them?
I would say a good night out, probably. But
that's true. That's true. When you go in, do the strippers do they have glitter on them? And don't they know it's like not proper because you're going to go home and your wife is going to see glitter on your face?
Well, I actually have a problem with this, Doug, and I will tell you a quick story. When I went to Amsterdam is sort of renowned for weird shows and the red light district.
Yeah.
And when I came back, people said to me, oh, did you go to see any of the shows? Did you go and see the shows? The ping pong shows, they're brilliant. And I said, no. I said, I didn't go into any of them. And they said, why didn't you? And I said, I don't mind going in and seeing these things, but I'm really wary of being spotted when I come out. I would hate that I come out and my mum just happens to be walking past, or somebody I knew, So I didn't go into any of them. So with gentlemen's clubs, I'm very much the same. But I did get taken to a strip club one day, and there should have been about 7 strippers. And there was a train strike, so none of the strippers turned up other than one. And it was kind of seedy. So I saw this same woman take her clothes off 4 times. And once you see the first time, you think, well, that's fair enough. And then she put her clothes back on and then did Prince Purple Rain or something, and she came out and did another one. Oh. By the last time, I'd seen her naked more times than my wife in the last 25 years. It's just a bizarre experience. So no, I don't really have a great deal of knowledge of gentlemen's clubs, but I imagine that's what they're called.
So you don't know like any of the rules? Like, are you no like hands off completely? How did we get on the strip clubs? I don't know. I'm sure I took us down this path. Knowing me, I took us down this path.
No, I don't know any of the rules, but I do know lap dancing.
Yeah.
I think I couldn't do that. That's torture. Why do you want to do that if you're not allowed to touch, apparently? That just sounds dreadful to me.
I agree. And you happen to mention, it's interesting, you mentioned your mom and strip clubs in the same breath, and I was thinking, as you were walking out of a strip club, you didn't want to run into your mom. And all I was thinking is, if I go into a strip club, I don't want to see my mom up on stage.
We all have to earn money. I've actually got a funny story of that, actually. One of my mates, many years ago, he was arranging a stripper for his mate, and his mate was about 25 or something. And we were waiting for this stripper to turn up. I say we, I wasn't there. And the door opened, and Phil opened the door, and my mate, and he said, "Oh, hello, Mrs. Parker." And it was the mum of one of his best mates growing up.
Oh, no.
And so she just came in, and he went, "To be honest, it's a bit weird." And she said, "Yeah, it is a bit weird." But they had no idea that this mum that he'd grown up with was now doing the rounds as a stripper in the evening.
I bet she got tipped really well, though.
Yeah, he said, "Yeah, here's a $5, and go have a hot dog, and
and be on your way." Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I think we should probably talk. Sue had set this up so that we actually have some content to talk about, and I think you probably have a thing or two that you actually have. You have a message, don't you? Do you have a message, or is it just a shoot the shit with another podcaster?
I have a message that come from the Lord. I have been sent a message that I have to spread. No, I was told to come on and
just be a nice guy.
Yeah,
no.
And that's what it is, and it's a good show you've got. It's now officially my favourite show, Doug.
Oh my gosh! Well, thank you. Well, thank you so much. Well, just so everybody knows, Nice Guy Community, David's got a show. It's called Join Up Dots, and I've listened to a few episodes of it. And actually, in listening to it, I didn't realize this, but David was actually on my list of prospects when I was doing some promoting with the C-Suite Network. And fortunately, because David doesn't do a lot of email reading, he did not respond to my prospecting email, which is good. So he's here today to actually share a little bit about Join Up Dots. How did you even come up with that name? It's a very I'm assuming you mean when you say dots, like connections, or is there something else?
You haven't listened to much of my show then, have you, Doug? Right. Okay.
I listened to, wait, hold on, wait a minute. Let me defend myself here. Yes, I listened. Maybe I didn't listen to the right things, because I heard a guy that's been on a submarine for the last 17 years or something like that. So did I not listen to the right episode?
Yeah, he went down well, didn't he?
Yeah.
Didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Little submarine joke there for you. Yes. So, Join Up Dots. It was basically, or it is basically, the Steve Jobs speech. He stood up in 2005, and he said some words. Well, he said these words.
Of course, it was impossible to connect the dots looking forward when I was in college, but it was very, very clear looking backwards 10 years later. Again, you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. So you have to trust that the dots will somehow connect in your future. You have to trust in something, your gut, destiny, life, karma, whatever. Because believing that the dots will connect down the road will give you the confidence to follow your heart, even when it leads you off the well-worn path. And that will make all the difference.
Well, I was given that in written form. One of my friends, when I was in corporate land, went off to the dentist, and he came back with this whole speech, and he said, "You should read this." And I read it, and it just kind of touched me. That part really touched me, as now I've discovered it touches so many, where you don't have the answers. You just got to go for it, and you've got to try it. And little by little, you'll find the right path when you're walking on another path. And, you just have to keep going forward. And so I created a show called Join Up Dots, basically based around that speech. Now, after 860 shows, God, I'm so glad I did, because there's an emotional aspect which not only connects the dots of me and Steve Jobs, but also with every single guest on the show. And also it gives us a good way. At the end of our show, we do a little time travel section where we send you back in time to have a one-on-one with your younger self. Basically, you're joining up your dots. And if you could go back and sort of meet the young Doug and say to him, "God, I've got some great advice for you, because I know how it pans out. I've lived this. What would you do?" And it's just become a very sort of cylindrical episode. It works well. It's got a good start, a good middle, and a good end, and it all sort of pulls together quite nicely. And fortunately for me, people like it.
What's so challenging about what you're saying, and I agree with you, you have to look at your life in terms of, you don't want to look back and make and look at regret, but it's so challenging because the road road oftentimes that we're on as we are going forward is so dark, and you have no idea where you're going. I just had this conversation with Strickland today about, gosh, can we take this client, or can we take this project, or can we do this? Because we really have no idea what we're doing. I'm not a business plan guy. I'm more of a guy that's, let's figure it out as we go along, but it's so fucking scary as you're doing it, as you go through it. So it's a great lesson to learn, and it's a great way to lead your life, but it is extremely scary. Do you agree with that?
I agree with that totally. But what you realise is that every step of the way, the scary is not scary when you look back. You know, you're going through it and you're laying on the floor going, why me? Why me? I didn't deserve this. I'm trying my best. And then 6 months down the line, you look back and you think, actually, that wasn't too bad.
It's so true.
This is scary. This is scary now. You know, God, I don't have the answers. And I was talking to somebody on one of my shows the other day, and especially people that just got going. And it made me laugh, actually. I was listening to one of your shows today, and you were saying about how many people in podcasts roll up and give the big spiel like they're Superman, but actually, you know, they've only had the idea to start something that afternoon. And I think you said, you know, we look back at some of it and we think, oh, what load of bullshit that person was talking about, you know, but
right.
It's kind of true. Now, I was talking to a guy and I said, you know, there's no such thing as an entrepreneur. It's just somebody who is scared shitless all the time. And, you know,
that's true.
You're just making it up, and you get some people that have made it up to a certain point, and then that's your branding, that's your knowledge. And that's the realization I came to. I've kind of gone through all the mega scary time because I've now defined myself, and once you define yourself, people understand what you are. Then the sort of products and the sales and the merchandise and everything that you use to monetize a podcast or any business kind of becomes easy to sell. Because people understand it. And so that's what I've done. But yeah, it's seriously scary time, and I don't recommend anyone to do it, but I also recommend everyone to do it. It's really weird depending on the mood I'm in.
Well, how did you know when Join Up Dots was in the zone? Because you know you can't tell when you're moving forward until you look back and say, like you said earlier, man, that wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be, but at the time you're totally in shit's way. How do you know when did you know when you look back you were in the right spot, you were in the zone?
Episode 2. I recorded 2 episodes back to back, and there was 2, 5 and 37. I really remember this. And
really, seriously?
I'm like Rain Man. I am, when it comes to sort of episodes, it's sort of all stored in. But episode 2, I remember recording it thinking, I'm actually enjoying this. I like this. This feels natural to me. And then episode 5 was an absolute winner, where if you come over to my show, and Doug, I'm going to invite you onto the show, and you can bring Mr. Winnie as well. And,
all right.
And we'll get both of you on. And on episode 5, I do very lengthy introductions. And I was listening to a guy telling me a story, and I thought, I've heard you say this before. I've heard you do this story about 5 times on other stories. Right, what I need to do is tell your story beforehand. So I became like Eminem, and I would share these people's keynote stories beforehand, and you could hear them go, oh, Jesus Christ, that's what I was planning to say. I don't know what I'm going to talk about now.
Right.
And afterwards, it was like, that was actually more enjoyable. You know, I was thinking about things instead of just going through the whole script. So that was important. And then episode 37, I had 2 American guys on, and I started taking the piss out of them. And that's when I realized, hang on, I'm starting to find my flow, and not sort of being horrible to them, but in a banter way, which works very well on your show. But I think it takes a while for you to get to that point where you naturally feel that you're confident in your zone. And once you get that confidence, I think the guests become more confident with you because they feel trusted. They feel like they're protected somehow.
Yeah, totally agree. And funny you say that, because was there a guest that you, since you're the Rain Man of your episode, was there a specific guest? I don't need a name, but do you remember actually having what I would consider a realistic, genuine debate? Like almost like an argument with a guy. I mean, Strick and I always get into these arguments, but you know, we're friends, so we're just having debates. It's not really an argument. Do you remember getting into any arguments with your guests?
Yeah, I'm quite good at arguing without them realizing that I'm arguing with them. You know, I use a lot of being devil's advocate, or I imagine the listeners would be having an opposing view. So I'm not too confrontational on the show, but there has been certain guests that basically are talking rubbish, and you know they're talking rubbish, and it's so alien. But I have a part of me on my shoulder that I kind of think, I think this is rubbish, but he could be right. He could be right. It's just that I don't understand.
Anybody you realize was total bullshit and you called him out?
No, I don't think so. I think there's been one or two guys and ladies where I've sort of said to them, look, this really seems mad to me. You actually seem like a lunatic.
That's great.
And more often than not, they kind of laugh, because if I'm saying it, other people have said it as well.
Yeah.
You know, it's nothing new. And so if they're building a business around something which is a bit weird and off the wall, they're used to people saying that. And I think they like the ability to go, yes, I can see that, but there's a business opportunity anywhere. And there is. And that's one of the things that I try to get through in Join Up Dots. That no matter how mad it is, how, bizarre, whatever, if there's somebody that wants you to solve a problem, then you can do that. For example, this is a true story, Doug, right? And this blew me away. And I think I'm name dropping here now. I think Jack Canfield told me this when he was on the show, or I was telling Jack Canfield about it. I don't remember, but there's a Jack Canfield connection.
Right, I got you.
But there was a guy who wanted to go surfing, and he had a dog, and he didn't know what to do with the dog when he was surfing. Now, I would have left the dog indoors, but he was bringing it down to the beach. And as he was going out on his surfboard, dodging sharks and whatever, the dog wanted to come out with him. And he was thinking, oh, what can I do? What can I do? And a woman came along and said, I can teach your dog to surf. Right, now, that's just lunatic. That's nutcase. Mm-hmm. And the guy went, can you? Because that'd be great. If you could teach a dog to surf, I'd solve my issue. I'd take the dog out with me. And so she looks at the dog in the eye and does a doggy Yoda. I don't know what she did. But anyhow, the dog then jumped on the surfboard and off he went, and he was happy. Now, about 5 or 6 people on the beach saw that, and whether they thought that's fun or actually that solves my issue, and now she's got a thriving business across the world teaching people how to teach their dogs to surf. Now, as I'm saying that, that's just lunacy to me. It's just bizarre. But there you go. It's a business idea. And that's what I think that Join Up Dots and a lot of the podcasts should be about, telling people to believe, not listen to other people, just look deep inside yourself and work and hustle and make something happen.
I mean, I think we have a responsibility as podcast hosts, and I hope you would agree with me that you have to ask the questions that you think that your audience is going to be asking themselves. And even if that requires you getting uncomfortable, I've been uncomfortable many times on my show before, whether it's uncomfortable because I have somebody that is at a level I didn't think I would ever have on the show, or whether I'm calling somebody out on bullshit, or whether I'm calling myself out on bullshit and revealing some information about myself. I really feel like it's a responsibility that we have.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I had a guy, and I can't remember his name, but he basically was telling me that with his mind from America, he could light up a light bulb in London. So he would just go, ooh, and think, and the light bulb would light up. And he was teaching me all about this thing called, oh God, it's gone out of my brain. It was so bizarre. Right. Now, he was so far ahead of where my brain could keep up with. I got caught into that thing where, like when you're a little kid and you don't understand, you just want to make fun. This is boring, this is stupid, and that. I couldn't quite find the area that I had to fit into to keep up with him, because he was too far ahead. And I loved that. I never felt uncomfortable. I loved the fact that actually there is this guy and he's so far above me in brain, but I'm trying to get into his slipstream. I'm trying to ride his tail to try to get as close as possible. And they're the challenges as a podcast, to be able to discuss things that you really don't understand and hopefully come out at the other end looking like you was quite knowledgeable.
So then I have a question about this guy lighting up light bulbs from the U.S. over to Europe. How did he do it? Any idea?
with his brain. He's strained very hard. Yeah, it was like he had constipation, I imagine, and he would send these signals off, and it was called. It was going to come to me,
That's
and
all
halfway
right.
through the show, I'm going to go to you. Oh, it was called something or other.
But how does that work? Does it actually work?
Yeah, there was a Russian scientist who came up with this energy source, and basically one atom, it's a bit like nuclear power from memory. Scalar energy. There you go. It's popped into my head. Now you can Google scalar energy, and believe me, you won't understand it. But these atoms are coming down from space, and as they're coming into our atmosphere, they create a certain amount of power. And if you can utilize these bits of power, then you can basically run Las Vegas on one little dot or whatever. Okay. And the power source of it was the fact that there's no wires or anything. You just kind of transmit it across. As I say, I sound like a lunatic talking about that, Doug, because I don't really know what I'm talking about. But yeah, scalar energy.
Well, there is no doubt you're a lunatic because you are a podcast host and you actually have an entire business related to podcasting. So tell me about, what is it called? The Podcast Mastery course?
Yeah, Podcaster's Mastery. Yeah, it's gone a couple of different routes. And one of the things at the beginning, I was struggling to define myself. And I had this show, Join Up Dots, and I kind of slipped into like life coach mode where I had people going, oh, will you mentor me? And I quickly went from earning nothing to six figures on a podcast within 15 days from a guy coming through to me from Kenya from memory saying, David, I want you to mentor me. And I was thinking, I don't know anything about mentoring anyone. You know, I'm just making this up as I go along. And so I said to him, right, 10 grand. 10 grand. If you pay me 10 grand, not only will I mentor you, I will send you naked photos of my wife as well. And this would be the perfect package for you. And half of me thought he's going to be frightened off by this because who can afford just 10 grand? Right. And he went, yes, fine, you can, I will do that. And I thought, oh my God, I'm into this. And then his mate came along and said, I would like you to mentor me as well. And I suddenly thought, look, if I'm doing this, I might as well make a bit of money on it. So I suddenly had 10 people. And my wife thought it was amazing that I was a legend. I was a genius how I'd converted this over, but it was just a fluke. It just sort of engulfed me. Yeah. But I woke up one day, Doug, and I thought, what am I doing today? Oh, God, I'm talking to him. Oh, I've got a whole day talking to these people. And I suddenly thought to myself, I don't like this. So I contacted them and I said, look, I'm not going to do this anymore. And they said, oh, please, we are making so much progress. We have moved our village closer to the water. We're doing great stuff. And I said to them, I just don't like it anymore. So I gave the 100 grand back, basically, and then went through about a year of absolute mad panic, thinking, I don't know what to do. I don't know what I'm actually bringing to the market. I don't want to do life coaching. I don't want to do this. I don't know what Join Up Dots is. It's a show. Yes, people listen to it, but how do I make money on it? Yeah. It's got to be sponsorship. Sponsorship's the route. I will get the biggest show ever. So I went hell for leather to try to get the biggest audience possible, and it literally killed me. It really did, being one man. And then I was in a shower one day, Doug, and it was the second soap. You know, when you're sort of like, you're all clean and you should be getting out, but you actually think, oh, it's quite nice in here, I'll go again. And so I was soaping around the second time, and I thought to myself, I'm a podcaster. And it just dawned on me. And I'd done about 350 shows by that time, so you would think that it would have, tweaked. Yeah. And I thought, I'm a podcaster. I should be selling things to do with podcasts. Added to that, I was a financial trainer, used to creating training courses and presenting for years and years and years. And I suddenly thought, I can't imagine why I didn't see this. So I created Podcaster's Mastery, which is 300 videos based around podcasting. And then it developed into actually podcasting kind of marketing, how to structure a show to guarantee that you monetize literally from the first guest, and certain principles I brought into it. But now I've just gone into like elite coaching, where for a month I will do that, but be hands-on as well. And I quite fancy the idea of 1 month on, 1 month off. And so everything I'm doing now is defined to podcasting. But you do get to that point. You've got to define yourself. You've got to actually say, what do I want to do? What is my talent? What do other people want me to do? And then bang. push them together. It's like a podcasting sandwich.
And what's so fascinating about what you're saying, and I agree, being a podcaster and a guy that's got almost 400 episodes underneath, I'm like, we definitely have the tools, we have the training, and we have the technology to put it all together. And you're right. You take the thing that I forget. Somebody just came on the show just a few weeks ago, as of the date of this airing. And they came on the show and they said that which comes easiest to you is usually a huge challenge to someone else that's out there, and people will pay for that. And you just you don't realize it until you're in the mix and you say, shit, I can actually charge for this, and people do pay for it, which is, again, it's a wonderful feeling.
That was Adam Ubansky on your show, because
that's right. Gosh,
I've listened to 100 episodes of your show now. You see,
holy shit! Oh, you know my guest better than I do. That you're 100% right. It was Adam Urbanski. You're right. God damn you.
But it's true, but you've got to cross that bridge as well, because if it's easy for you've got to go, I can charge for this. And because you almost go, oh, I can just do this, I do it for you. And I used to do a lot of freebies for people, where people would say, how do you do this and how do you do that? For example, I played that speech to you, Steve Jobs.
Yeah.
And a lot of podcasters used to say to me, how do you do that? How are you putting all these clips in so that you're recording and editing live, even though you're doing it over Skype and stuff? And I used to show them. But now I go, I will sell it to you. You know, you've got to realise that if somebody wants to know and is going, how are you doing that? Then that's your business.
Okay,
you know?
but let's take that. Let's take that to the next step. Just forget podcasting for a second. But let's say that you're an expert at whatever it is, coaching or any service that you have. At what point do you say, I will, or when do you stop saying, I'm going to give it away, or when do you start saying, I'm going to charge for that? Because many times people just want to, it's like you have to give away a little free content for it to tease people into wanting to have more. Or have you always been, I'm going to start charging for this right now kind of guy?
No, I haven't. I used to give away everything, and I found it really problematic for those reasons. But, it's just me creating a video, content, pushing it out there. I can do it easy, just go for it. And some of my opt-ins were like War and Peace. It was 15 video sequence, literally teaching people everything. And then it dawned on me through different sources that actually to get a product going, it's not the product, it's the promise. And so your opt-ins and your lead magnets and stuff, they should promise what you're delivering, not that you're delivering that thing. And so I started monetizing, not as early as I should have done. Certainly, when I look back at it now and join up my dots, I could have done it a lot earlier, but I wasn't quite ready to believe in myself, because I'd always been a corporate trainer and a presenter, and I was good at that, really, really good at that. And then I pivoted, or not even pivoted, I sort of deep dived into podcasting and literally knew nothing about it. It was a real weird story how I become a podcaster, and it takes a while before you actually are comfortable enough. It's like kind of watching pornography with your mum. It's not
good analogy.
It's not a good thing to admit to. So when people used to say to me, oh, what do you do for a living? I used to go, oh, I just work for myself. And what do you do? I'm a kind of radio host, that kind of thing. And it was all really, I don't really want to say this. But now I say, I'm a podcaster. That's what I do. That's my business. That's my living. And it's that confidence piece to be able to actually say that. That's when it all comes together. And as I say, it becomes a lot easier. It does become a lot easier because people understand you and they're not confused.
Well, David, you are a fascinating guy, and what an amazing. I definitely now I see purpose to actually subscribing to join Up Dots. Before I thought, I listened to the first episode, the one with you and the submarine guy, and I listened to parts of a couple of others, and I thought, he's a little weird, but I kind of like him. But I like him. I do. And then your guests were like, they're a little weird, but he kind of asked the right questions to get their weirdness even out there even more, which I thought was really cool. So now that I've had you on the show, I'm like, okay, all right, I got this. I want to find out more. I want to find out more about what Join Up Dots and David Ralph is all about.
You have redeemed yourself from the Dick Van Dyke comment. Do you know that, Doug? We're now back on speaking terms.
Yeah, what is it? Is it offensive to say to an English guy you sound a little like Dick Van Dyke?
Is it offensive to say to an American guy you look a bit like Donald Trump?
Oh, geez, yeah. God, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, David.
Do you see where I'm going?
I do. I totally see where you're going. But I think the whole strip club conversation, I think that got us into a little bit more of a good groove. So thank you for having that with me. Hey, David, if our listeners wanted to get a little bit more information about you, aside from Join Up Dots, how can they connect with you?
Well, that's the best place, really. Go over to Join Up Dots, and you can sort of connect with us on email or whatever, or go over to iTunes. As Doug says, I don't respond to emails very quickly, I'll be honest. It's a bit of a tsunami, so I have a little system that I operate. But I do respond to everyone. So if you do want to connect with us, go over to Google Land, type in Join Up Dots, and I'll be there. Amazing.
I got to ask you one question before I let you go on the personal side. Are you good with the personal question now that we've gotten past the Mary Poppins whole thing?
You go with anything you want, sir.
All right, man. You get an invitation in the mail. The invitation is all about this great party that you're getting invited to. I never get invited anywhere, so I'm always envisioning this is a fantasy for me. I get invited to this party. Bottom left-hand corner of the invitation, there is a dress code. Sometimes it's black tie, sometimes it's other things. What is the ideal dress code for you to see on that invitation?
Well, my dress code has actually changed recently, and I have slipped into a Zuckerberg-ism. Now, I like the fact of just wearing a white T-shirt and some tracky bottoms and trainers, or sneakers, as you say, and that's it. And I realised the other day watching this program that Zuckerberg wears the same outfit every single day because he doesn't have to think about it, and Steve Jobs used to do the same thing as well. And so that would be I'm actually wearing it now. If we had the webcam on, white T-shirt, tracky bottoms, or jeans, I suppose, and sneakers.
All right. Well, he's got 5 kids at home, and they keep him running around. What are their ages, David?
Well, the 3 eldest ones have moved out now. So we've got Gemma, who's 36, I think. Then we've got 33-year-old. We've got Alicia, who's 26, who's just about to get married. Then there's Daniel, and then there's Ashley, who's 12.
Oh my gosh, you have them. They are all over the age. You will never. You're never going to get out of debt, and you're never going to get out of college.
I am very fertile, though, Doug. That's my problem. I only have to sort of walk past the letterbox, and my wife's pregnant.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. Well, David, thank you so much for being on the show today, and thank you for being a valuable part of it. Man, you pulled that Adam Urbanski comment out of my ass, so that was way to go.
It was a good show. I thoroughly enjoyed it. He was a man who knows how to deliver, as you do, and it's been an absolute delight to spend time with you. I'm disappointed that Strickland wasn't around, but next time maybe we can speak to him as well.
We actually don't let him talk to anybody. It's okay, though. We let Steve O'Brien come in. Speaking of which, nice guy community, never underestimate the power of nice. Special thanks to David Ralph for being on the show today. Steve O'Brien, go ahead and take us out of here.
The Nice Guys on Business are professional podcasters. Please do not try this at home. It may seem simple, kids, but lots of people get hurt in the process. Void where prohibited, including Mexico, Puerto Rico, Fredonia, or your in-laws. The Nice Guys on Business are not responsible for any claims of liability or any guarantee that these two morons know what they're talking about. There is no promise that being nice to people will help your business, but calling people assholes, dumb, incontinent fuckwads will definitely lose you business. For any and all claims, shit in one hand and wish in the other, and see which one fills up first. Thank you for listening to the Nice Guys on Business podcast. I'm Steve O'Brien.